Hey everybody. So, I'm here to talk about my trip to Portland. Well, part of my trip to Portland. I'm sure anybody that watches this channel watches Mazzy's channel, so you might have seen the video that he posted already of our meetup in Portland. My sister lives in Portland, so me and the family traveled out there to visit her and my niece for like a week. And I've always told Mazzy that if, we ever made it back out there, because we don't go that often, it's just not feasible for us to travel out there that often. I said, if we ever make it out there to stay with my sister, I'll let you know and we'll meet up. And we've been talking about this for a while. Mazzy and I have talked, communicated for 5 years now. And so, yeah, we finally were able to make it happen. I also reached out to Kimbo because I've known Kimbo for a while now as well. Kimbo drove down from Seattle as well, which was really, really nice of him because he turned around and went back that night. Mazzy at least could stay with his son. So I really appreciate those guys coming down to meet me. We had a really great time. It was not long enough. Would have enjoyed hanging out with them a couple of more days for sure. So who knows? Maybe sometime we'll figure something out down the line. What else did we do in Portland? Well, we just kind of hung out. We did a lot of kids things for the kids. We saw the Decemberists. My wife and I and my sister, we all went to see the Decemberists. That was cool. Meeting Mazzy and Kimbo was like a bonus. And, we went to a lot of record stores, did a lot of digging, and I'm going to talk about what I picked up there. So let's get into it. The first store that we went to was Music Millennium. I didn't buy anything there. It was a cool store, really big, several rooms, has a loft upstairs. I spent some time up there digging through the jazz and the country. All of the used is mixed in with the new. Some people like that. I didn't feel like I had the time to really dig through it to be able to parse all of that stuff. They had a ton of reissues in there, so it made it even more difficult to kind of look for they had it seemed like they had almost every reissue you could imagine in print. So a huge stock, huge inventory. And I think if I lived in Portland, that's definitely where I would go to buy new stuff, but I just didn't really see anything that jumped out at me right away, and it was only going to be the first stop. So, but it was a very cool store to visit, and if I'm ever back out there, I'd swing by there again. Now, the next store that we went to was Tomorrow Records. It was fantastic. This was probably my favorite store out of all of them. It was very well curated, a smaller selection, but I think by design. Beautiful space in there, towering ceiling, and so it just felt kind of open and just really comfortable space to dig in. Of course, the rock pop section is the biggest, right? Like any other record store, but then all of the other kind of genres that were broken down, the jazz, the country, the R&B, they were all smaller. And I think that was really just, again, like I said, by design, well curated. Everything that I flipped through was worth buying or a record that I already own and love. I will say the soul R&B sections in Portland left a little to be desired, but I still, when I'm out of town and I'm looking for used stuff, I always go through those sections. And I saw this record, and this is Earth, Wind & Fire's debut. And I got really excited because I've been looking for the early, the first 2 or 3 Earth, Wind & Fire records for a long time, and you just don't see them that often. I just grabbed it and just put it in my stack. Now, I was a little fooled on it because it's actually a Rhino reissue. So I got a little excited about it and just grabbed it, but it was still a great deal. I think it was only $15 for a Rhino reissue. That's great. So I'm fine with that. Glad to have this in some form in my collection. The next one I saw was this Maxine Weldon album on Mainstream. And it's wild because like Mainstream is not a label that I see a lot of like original early pressings in, but I've been coming across a few in the wild this year. Maxine Weldon is, she's got a big voice, right? The arrangements here are a little bit on the softer side. Mainstream's known for being a little bit more of a jazz label or jazz leaning, and that kind of shows up in the arrangements a little bit, but her voice is incredible. You know, there's covers of It Ain't Me, Babe, Feeling All Right, Like a Rolling Stone. I mean, and they're all expert, renditions of those songs, arranged and conducted by Artie Butler. Was also kind of looking around in the international section of like every place that we went to. And I saw this Ali Akbar Khan record, The Traditional Music of India. This is the US pressing of this record on the Prestige label. I haven't checked the exact pressing, but it's somewhere in the mid to early to mid 60s, I think. And I don't really have a ton of like traditional Indian music. Ali Akbar Khan's a good place to start, I think. I guess a fairly common record for him, as common as you can get in this world. Ali Akbar Khan, Traditional Music of India on Prestige. And then probably one of the best, if not the best, finds of the day. They had an absolutely incredible wall at Tomorrow Records. There was a sealed Marquee Moon, like way up high on the wall, that I went around in my head on that one. I was gonna buy it, and then I don't know. It was a bit too much, especially that early in the day. But I did get this original pressing of Versus Mission of Burma from 1982, and it's still in the shrink, and the vinyl is spotless, fantastic condition, and had a really good price tag on it to be in this condition. So that was a no-brainer for me, and I can get rid of my Matador reissue now. So Kimbo was really kind of the guide for the record stores. I think Mazzy had been to most of them, if not all of them, before, but Kimbo really kind of knows his way around and digs down there actually a good amount, I think. And so he suggested the Lax. That was one that had been recommended to me. Another incredible store, really small, again, expertly curated. You walk in and right on the wall, like right away on the wall, I see a Robbie Basho, like a Townes Van Zandt on Poppy. And I didn't get it. This may be kind of silly, but it had a cut corner, pretty big cut corner in it. And I'm like, if I'm gonna pay that amount for an original Townes Van Zandt on Poppy, I will get one without the cut corner. So what I did get was Side Trips by The Kaleidoscope, which would later become Kaleidoscope, not to be confused with the other Kaleidoscope. This is the first pressing in absolutely pristine condition. And yeah, I was pretty stoked to find this because even though I'm not like a huge psych head, there are certain albums, and this is one of those albums. California band mixes in kind of Middle Eastern, styles of music into their kind of strange brand of psych pop, and at times like kind of bluesy, kind of rootsy at times. Old time music they hint at in here. It's a wild variety of stuff. A really cool record though, I think, just because of how odd it is. Mazzy was gonna buy it, but he let me actually take it, which was really nice of him. That wouldn't have happened in Charlotte. Little Axe has an absolutely incredible international section. He had a lot of trashed like African records, original African records and stuff like that. But a lot of other, just a wide variety of international music from all different regions and countries, and it was a bit overwhelming. I tried to look through for bigger names that I could think of top of mind. It was just so much of it that I was a little intimidated by it. But they had one new used arrivals section, like over by the front counter, between like the international section and where the register was. And I found a couple of cool things in there. There were like a ton of Japanese pressings, just a wide variety of stuff. And I found this, The Photographer by Philip Glass. This is an album that I've always kind of said if I came across in the wild, I would buy. And it's a really, really clean copy, excellent condition. It was like only like 10 bucks. And then I kind of took a flyer on this record. I'm not familiar with it. Still haven't listened to it yet, but it's Holger Sakai. It's On the Way to the Peak of Normal. And the reason why I bought it was because of who is on it. It has Jackie Leavisit from Can and Connie Plank and Jaw Wobble. So because of that cast of characters, I figured it's at least worth a shot. Some German legends on there. Holger Sakai, this is a Japanese pressing of this album. So then the guys suggested that we go to Jackpot. Wasn't really high on my list. I love Jackpot's releases. Didn't know really what their store was like. Pretty much expected it to just be all new, and then obviously like pushing their reissues and stuff. I did come across a new copy of this reissue, World of Echo by Arthur Russell. This is one of two of his albums that I really wanted that I didn't have yet. And you know, originals of this are pretty pricey. But there was a new copy in there, and I don't see this one in Charlotte at all, really. So, but then when we were going through the used section, I found this open copy and went with it instead. You know, a little bit cheaper. And this one I was really stoked about. So I've talked about this series before. I've at least posted about it on my Instagram, for those of you that follow that. And it's this American soul music series that is put out by Cairo Records, which is distributed by Mississippi. So kind of not surprised to see this, you know, in a store like Jackpot. But this was one of the earlier volumes that I missed out on. I'm missing 1 and 2. So I really wanted those at some point. And they've been kind of pricey on the secondhand market because I think a lot of people just thought that they were one-offs and they wouldn't get repressed. Well, it looks like they've been repressed. So I got this brand new for like 30 bucks. It does have an alternate track listing. And I read online that the book is a bit thicker. The write-ups are a little bit longer, I think, on this version. Yeah, volume 2 of the American Soul Music series, 1955 to 1972. This one's called All of This Goes To. Mazzy really wanted to try going by Too Many Records. They said that, you know, he said he found a lot of really good stuff in there when he was there with Michael, Poetry on Plastic, when he was in Portland, and they went digging. So we went, and Matt, the owner, was in there. So Mazzy was stoked to actually meet him in person for the first time. And Matt was a really nice guy. And within 5 minutes of us being in that place, he recommended 2 more stores for us to go to before we had even started shopping his. That's not normal behavior by a lot of record store owners, I don't think. So that was very, very cool of him. Too Many Records, it reminded me a lot of Noble. If you think of Noble Records and you think of Dylan, you think of more like classic rock and psych and stuff like that. And I think that this store had the very kind of same approach, mostly used stuff, but I think a lot of it was kind of more focused on modern collections. And if he's curating his store, I think he's probably a little bit more interested in that. But I did find this, Clube da Esquina 2 by Milton Nascimento. This is a first pressing, Brazilian first pressing. So the first volume of Clube da Esquina was Milton Nascimento and Lo Borges. I have a Brazilian import repress of that, a really, really nice reissue of that album. But this, to find an original of the second volume was really, really cool. Yeah, this is the exact type of stuff that I was hoping to find in Portland, or that you're really hoping to find anytime you're like digging outside of your home area, right? So yeah, Milton Nascimento, Clube da Esquina 2, some excellent Brazilian pop music. I definitely would have bought more stuff probably at Too Many Records if it was one of the first stores that we went to, but I had already bought so much stuff. Then we went to the store that, one of the stores that Matt recommended. I think he said it was called Mint Records or something, but I think it was called Mint Gallery. And it was a really cool store as well. Smaller, again, well curated. I think that's the theme here with Portland record stores. And I think that's a necessity because there's so many. But this store had like its own kind of vibe to it. I will say their electronic section was really impressive. They had an experimental section and an ambient section all by itself. Again, some really great stuff in there that I was tempted to buy and didn't, but I did pull the trigger on this. This is a UK first pressing of Apollo, Atmospheres and Soundtracks. Really happy to have a really nice, clean copy of this because that's kind of what you need when you're listening to this kind of music by Brian Eno. But yeah, really stoked to find that one. So yeah, it was a great time. Had a wonderful time visiting with Mazzy and Kimbo. Had a wonderful time visiting my sister. Always love spending time with my sister and my niece. Portland is a wonderful place to visit. Don't know if I could live there, I'll be completely honest, but I definitely like visiting there. It was really cool to see the Decemberists in their home area. It was outside of Portland, but still like in the area that they were assembled in. But yeah, I just wanted to put this one out there before it took me too much longer. Hope everybody's doing okay as summer's winding up. Kids are going to be going back to school here pretty soon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. We'll talk to you later. All right, bye.
I've got whiskey, I've got brandy, I've got a use for this old soul. Sometimes I feel it dipping beneath the waterline, but I keep it on the burner, the back of my mind.
So wait for the storm on your window away by car, and you'll go. Fancy with your blood storm on the ground. Fancy and it's when the stars are burning small city down.
Digital gramophone makes no sense.